In a row, so I appreciate everybody that stuck with us the whole time. I appreciate your staff being here. We got Madam President Helen Hudson, Councilor Driscoll, Councilor Thompson, myself, and Councilor Rudd. You want to introduce you and your team?
Yep. Good afternoon, President Hudson and councilors. Obviously, my name is Jeremy Robinson. I'm the Commissioner of DPW. To my right, I got Ann Fordock. She's our Deputy Commissioner. I got Marty Davis, who's our Deputy Commissioner in the audience. I have Lori Ayako, sorry. I'm getting to know names, you know I'm new. Our physical officer. Also got several of my superintendents. Got Kevin Henry, who's our buildings and trades superintendent. I have Kevin Hunter, who's our street repair superintendent. I have Luke Malnicki, who's our assistant superintendent of MEM Garage. I also have Jeff Kohansky, who's our assistant superintendent of sewers. Who else I'm missing? Sorry. Got Matt Fiato, sorry, construction inspector. No. Got Chris Ettinger, our sidewalk inspector as well. Also got Lonnie Bornstein, who helps us with the lighting. Am I missing anyone? No, that's it.
Perfect, great, thank you.
All right. So I just want to give you guys a brief description of Public Works. We are consist of about 10 departments: sand, transportation, sewers, street repair, street cleaning, sweeping and flushing, snow and ice, main office, info services, and MEM garage. Obviously, we are a maintenance department for the whole city of Syracuse. Examples of that would be plowing, street repairs, slurry, potholes. We maintain pools, bathhouses, fountains, rec centers, firehouses, and any other city buildings that we own. Obviously, we also take care of the garages of what Kyle spoke so eloquently about. I was just an ornament on his hand. So that's about it. Questions?
So I guess we'll start with staffing, like in every department. Excuse me. The staffing, I don't know if you have total numbers throughout your 10 departments, and how many employees do you have throughout those 10 departments?
We have 431 employees. We have 20 unfunded positions.
431, 20 unfunded positions.
Yep.
And how about funded vacant positions?
We have four that we're
funded vacant positions
that we're currently trying to fill right now.
Are those vacant with folks that are those funded? Are there filled positions with folks that are out for other reasons, like comp or anything like that?
No, they're just vacant in sanitation right now.
For vacant sanitation, okay.
So where are the 20 that are unfunded from?
We have 3 in the main office, 4 in info services, 5 in building services, 1 in MEM, 2 in Sani, and 4 in street cleaning.
Can you clarify exactly the full scope of info services? I know a bit of what they do, but
it's our fast response team. They pretty much do everything from creek walk, maintaining the creek walk, litter picking. Sorry.
It's all right. Happens to all of us.
Everyone can't be a musician.
Yeah, exactly. Some of us are trained more on the microphone.
Well, yeah, so they're basically a fast response team to me or to the city. They pick up tires, vacant buildings, house fires if something happened. They got to go in and demo.
And how many are on staff in info services?
We have 13, Marty?
13. Okay.
13.
Thank you.
Any further questions before we continue? Okay. We could go department by department, or folks could ask questions. What would you prefer?
I have specific questions, but mine two areas of concentration I'm looking at. First is the roads. If you can give us a breakdown of what you have in dollars this year for paving, recon type projects, and if you're going to source any out this year, or if it's all going to be done in-house, or how are we looking to do this year? What we're looking to see how many dollars we have and how much we can get done.
Yep. Got about $5 million. You said $5 million. Outsourcing. Kevin Hunter, you want to mention what we're going to do as far as
And Kevin, are you going to be working 8-hour shifts, 10-hour shifts, or do we have overtime built into this? Or
Councilor Thompson? That would be probably weather permitted. Obviously, if the weather is nice, we would try to get everything done in 8 hours. Our administration, we're trying to cut down on overtime as well as a whole department. Obviously, I can't speak on last.
How much did you budget for the year?
Overtime?
For overtime?
Yeah.
Just in street repair?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just repair. Thanks, Mary.
okay, so
Not to, but real quick, what did we do last year for street repair overtime?
315.
350.
409,000.
400 actual. So you're gonna run a tight, clean ship this year, right, Kevin?
Absolutely.
Okay.
As of right now, we're hoping to do everything in-house. Our slurry seals are obviously contracted out, but the milling and paving, we do in-house.
So is the slurry seal included in the $5 million for road?
No.
No.
That's different.
separate.
So how m-
Slurry seal. What are we gonna do with slurry? Is there a way we can actually train our own folks to do the slurry? Because I was looking at the numbers. If we were paying out $800,000, I priced the machinery. It's 75 used, it's 150 new, and that's for the slurry machine. And then if we could train our own people to do it, why can't we do that?
I'm not sure that one machine is enough, correct, Kevin?
It's not, no.
Well, get two.
What about the materials that go into making the actual slurry seal? What are those products, and if you're pricing them, what do those things run?
Well, it's an oil, so it varies. It can go up, it can drop. Concrete and just stone, which we would have to, buy from whoever's got the contract.
So you said that the slurry is not part of the $5 million. So what were we going to spend of the $5 million for repaving this year? Do we have a figure on that?
Say that again.
What were we going to spend in-house
$5 million.
on
5 million.
you are
Be all our trucks, materials, employees,
You're asking with slurry included, right? Is that what you're
slurry
saying,
separate.
Steve?
no. I'm saying I thought you said there was $5 million.
To spend on the roads.
Correct. And you anticipate spending all $5 million?
Weather related, if we can.
No,
we
no,
will.
no.
Yep.
Forget the weather. Yeah, but that's you
Yes.
expect that that's going to be used during the course of this year. Okay, that answers it.
And that includes that money that came in from the state, right? Because I know with some state money still in the pot.
Yeah, the CHIPS reimbursement? Yes.
The 3.5 that we have in for road reconstruction plus what else we got,
The leftover money from last year.
which totals about $1.5 million apparently.
And we have the remaining streets that we didn't finish last year.
Okay.
That will take that up.
Okay, good. Okay, great.
How many miles do we get for the $5 million?
I don't know.
Miles.
Maybe 2.
2.
And there's like 400 miles. 407. So
Does that include,
So I had to ask-
is that curbing with it or no curbing?
Most of them have curbing.
Yeah, that,
That's why.
If they don't have to be replaced, they don't do it.
try to stay away from curbing. That jacks up the price.
Um,
Yeah.
So the water department people, I kind of asked them the same questions, but like how many miles should we be repaving a year to be like having all the streets good in the long term? And how much would that cost to actually do?
That's a good
It
question.
seems like 2 miles out of a 407 mile system in any given year is insufficient. And I think that shows up in everybody's lives. So what should we be doing if we had the money, and how much money would it be?
That's a good question. I couldn't tell you offhand right now, but I'm quite sure that we can look into that and get back to you.
The 2 mile number, how long has it been 2 miles, and when was the last time it was in double digits? Anybody know?
Mm,
Never.
Tim, can I piggyback on your question? Because, okay, you said you do 2 miles, so is that gonna be mill and pave, or is that just to
It's the,
keep it contained until we get to it? That's just mill and pave? Okay.
Tim, were you in the middle of something, or can I jump in? Or?
Where would the 5 million for road reconstruction be housed in terms of the division?
It's in the capital account. It's
So-
not in this operating budget.
Not
That's,
even in this.
yeah.
It's in the CIPs.
Councilor Thompson had asked the questions about the 5 million. So is there capacity, like on overtime? You were mentioning constraining overtime.
Yep.
But it also seems like in the interest of doing more miles, that we could decide to fund overtime to do more miles. So is there capacity, if there were money for overtime, to pave more streets? And if so, like how much would be reasonable?
Kevin?
I'd like to remind the counselor to use his microphone.
Me?
Can you repeat that question?
So,
yeah, there's five.
I was so thrown off by the microphone.
There-
I'm not using the
Counselor.
microphone.
I couldn't hear you myself, so I'm wondering if
Man,
everyone else could.
I believe you asked if there was unlimited overtime.
Oh yeah.
how
So if you had
much
overtime,
work
because we were
could
talking
he-
about constraining, limiting the overtime, and in theory we could fund more overtime in order to do more miles of paving. So is there capacity for that if there was more money for overtime? And how much capacity is there?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's a tough question because overtime isn't mandatory. So these guys, they could say no, and to the overtime. And, I mean, it's just something that it's hard to guarantee to get work done if these guys don't want to work.
Not
Not that it happens, but
right at the traditional cap where it's been around 300 to 400. Do you find that your guys are still hungry for more after the 300 or 400 in overtime, or do you feel that like that's pretty much the threshold of what you can ask of them?
no, I mean, I think we could do more work, and the guys would, if it's there, we can get it done.
Does that help with your question, Councilor?
so for street repair, the overtime is, probably somewhat predictable when you get to certain spots in the weeks or in a job or whatnot. But are you doing plowing too, sweeping? Who's doing that? Street plowing and all that? Is that under you too?
No.
That's under street
Street.
cleaning.
Okay. So
Just,
I
yeah.
guess I wanted to ask, in general, just are we getting folks to come out for this overtime? Are we having trouble filling those positions? I wanted to get back to the mechanics, the heavy mechanics that we need. How are we doing there?
So to answer your question, you're talking about street cleaning?
Talking about all of it.
Can we finish with this first, though?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
Can we finish with?
Yeah,
Kevin?
yeah.
Kevin's up and down.
I tried.
Yeah. So what would you say to that? I mean, you're saying that there was 3.5 million put aside this year. We're going to use up the 1.5 that we didn't use last year. The overtime is actually a little less this year than it was last year, about $50,000 or so, according to what we're being told.
That was projected in actual.
The
actual
I
ended
think
up being-
Mary said that that last year was 406,000.
409.
Okay, 409.
And we're projecting for 350.
And then we're 350, so it's somewhere around there. So what, I just want to make sure that the council, one of the concerns that we had just is last year that we funded the DPW. You may not know this, but we actually gave money for the DPW overtime line last year so that they could get things done. And we're looking at that same concern here, that we want to make sure that there's monies available for the operations to be done. So do you think that what you have now in overtime is enough to get the work done that you need done?
I believe so.
So just on that, because the number one thing I think all of us hear over and over is about the streets, especially this time of year, and they're the worst they've ever been, and like I lost a tire, and my like everything is falling apart because of the holes in places. So what, and maybe that doesn't mean we need to pave 20 miles of, to do 20 miles of complete new reconstruction every year, but maybe it means we need more guys filling potholes and that kind of thing. I don't know how, like, do you, is it that it's just cyclical and every year this time of year we think it's catastrophic because winter hasn't ended and we haven't had a chance to get to work and we'll catch up and things will be okay? Or is there a real issue that we're like failing to fill in potholes regularly so they get worse and worse every year? Like, do you need more money to make the streets smooth in a timely way?
I think I need more positions in my department. I believe I have 45 positions in my department, and you know, when I started 18 years ago, we had 70, 74 or something. So, and you know, we're trying to keep up with the same work with a lot less people. I mean, it would help. I mean,
So I guess that goes to then, if we don't have those positions, what about outsourcing?
if we have to outsource, we can. I really don't like to, but
Me
if
either.
I have to outsource, I do.
Me either.
I hear you.
So I think you answered this before, but just for clarification, with your staffing now, and if you keep under your overtime budget, you'll get that $5 million worth of road put down.
Yes.
Okay.
Obviously, weather.
Weather permitting.
If the weather's
We
good,
can't.
we should be all right. If the
Weather
weather's not,
permitting,
then
and then,
absolutely.
when Tim works his magic with that budget book and finds a little bit more money, you need staffing and asphalt, or is asphalt not an issue when you're redoing roads?
It's not an
Asphalt's
issue.
not an issue.
And you know, while we're on asphalt, how's the plant going?
It's running good.
Is there any, well, I guess of the maximum we could put out, what are we putting out? That thing ran 24/7, and I don't know how the asphalt plant runs. What are we putting out, 25% of its max capacity?
I couldn't give you an answer right now. In the past, I'd say probably 25. Not as much as it should, and I'm hoping to change that this year.
My last questions on the roads is it necessary to replace all the curbs? I know we do much better for the bang for the bucks now without replacing all the curbs. Is it necessary at this time, or to replace curbs, or just to do them where they're really worn badly?
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to, I walk every street with the contractor, and if I can save a piece of curb, I save it.
Okay.
You know, some of the streets are just, you know, old.
That engineering too. All these 60 to 80% of the roads are engineered that are on our recon list, and the road's not going to work properly if the curb's not put in at the right elevations. So
Okay.
that's
So
one
that-
of the reasons why we do the curbing.
Okay, that makes sense, yes.
And a quick question on the curbing though, if you do the ADA corners, you have to do the curbing, right?
Around the,
To make them compliant, a lot of times we do.
All right.
That's all right.
Use the mic next
Yeah,
time. Matt.
And if you could come up to, truthfully, come up to the mic, because that answer was, that's it's something that we get told all the time, and we hear about, relative to, can we double the amount of miles that we're doing without redoing curbs, because curbs are the big cost. If it's due to engineering, that's a whole different feat.
Well, like I said before, 60 to 80% of the curbing, or the streets that we do, the curb is engineered and the road is not going to work properly unless the curb is adjusted. You could do all the milling and paving you want, but it's not going to bring the water to where it's got to go. It's all contingent on the curb that's engineered.
Question, when these curbs and everything are being done, on some of these projects that are Musher, Shelley, or Tip, or whatever, do they ever have requirements requiring the curb to be done? Is that ever contingent on these funds that we get?
That the whole curb would have to be done?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On the street repair versus the capital improvements, so I understand the 2 miles of roads that we completely redo with $5 million as a capital plan item, and then we have this entire division of street repair, which is like 45 people and $1.2 million. So if we were to spend $1 million more, should we be bonding like an extra $1 million every year to add to the capital improvement plan and doing a full street, or should we be doubling the size of the street repair crew to go out and like actually fill potholes?
I guess to Kevin's concern, I think more people, we can tackle more road
More people in the street repair unit.
in the street repair unit.
And sorry, not to continue banging on about the potholes in the road, but one thing I was wondering, what's the process like? My constituents, I send them to potholes at syrgov.net to report potholes. How do you decide the triage system about, where the severity is the worst? And I'm sure it's pretty rudimentary for you guys, but I don't know what the process is for determining where you go to repair roads. What's the worst? How do you decide where that $5 million should go?
you talking about potholes or the?
Yeah, redoing streets in general. Low quality of the street. How do you decide where you're going to fix?
It's mostly complaint driven.
City line potholes.
City line,
yeah.
You guys calling and looking at a street. That's how we put together our recon list.
And the Durapatcher's under you, right?
Yeah.
We're trying to get away from complaint-driven things and trying to get out and be proactive on things now. So he's out, we're out. We're trying to look at it so it's not just complaint-driven.
Yeah.
Because complaint-driven can be just one particular neighborhood, but the other neighborhoods don't complain as much.
How many times do you have to repair one pothole? Because I know it doesn't last a long time.
Depends on when we fix it, right, Kev? Cold patch?
Yeah, it all
hot
depends
patch?
on what material we use. In the wintertime, cold patch doesn't stick as well.
Because they end up with that dip, most of them. And
Yeah,
they
cold
end up
patch
with
is just a
that
temporary fix. So, summertime, you have hot mix, so that works pretty well. The Durapatcher.
Durapatch, because I saw the Durapatch truck out this week.
Can you just explain what cold patch and hot patch is before, so they know exactly what?
Cold patch it's just a temporary asphalt that doesn't have the contents a hot mix has. It's basically just, like I said, for a temporary fix. Our hot mix has different additives to make it more durable, and when we pave,
Is that Durapatcher machine cold or hot?
Right. That's what I was
the oil's hot. It's 145 degrees.
So
It's
it
an
does-
oil and stone.
It does both. It'll do the cold and the hot.
Well, the dirt patch is just an oil and stone. Coal patch is
Separate thing.
like an asphalt,
Yeah.
Oh, when the guys are dumping
tacky
it.
asphalt. Yeah. So the dirt patcher is just a emulsion and stone mix.
Kevin, before you leave, could I get your work cell phone number and I'll share it with Councilor Driscoll for pothole questions down the road?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Sorry to spend so much time on potholes, but it's on
Potholes
on
are
everyone's
important.
mind this
They're
season.
important.
Can I go back to the main office, because I see on out of title pay that there's 0, so you're not looking for any out of title.
We don't.
No.
Okay.
My next question would be on what we're doing now, going around and picking up the debris and such. Can you maybe give us a little overview as to how that's going, and if we look like we're going to be on time into the areas, and whether or not there is a necessity, or if there is overtime available for weekends or something, if because this is also another constituent frequent flyer, yes.
To answer that question, we are on time with our quadrant system right now. Obviously, we see some holes in the system right now. We're looking at making it better next year. Obviously, we can't do it now because we're started the quadrant system as we laid out this year. But next year, we're going to improve it. I don't know what that is right now, but we're going to look to improve it with residents and the people at DPW, street cleaning. He's not here right now. Kip Culkin, talking to him. So we're gonna try to improve it next year. But this year, I think we're on time and we're doing a great job.
So, how many do we have on these crews, and what do we have?
Is this page 144? Did these fall
We-
under solid waste collection and all these different city block clean tires?
So to answer Councilor Thompson, 57 individuals working street cleaning and pick up debris.
Okay, and the overtime line for that is?
Again, we're trying to stay away from overtime.
I got that. Thank you, Commissioner.
But,
And we're trying to get the street stuff, maybe when you come in under, we're good. Yeah.
55,000.
55,000.
Thank you.
So to his point, the stuff he's talking about, is that considered solid waste collection? Does that fall under?
What
That's-
page are you on again?
I'm on page 144.
44. Solid waste is probably sanitation, but let me.
Well, it's just they got city blocks clean, tires, ramps.
Oh, that's simple.
It's info services.
Info service.
They do a mixture of everything. They do sanitation work. They do debris, litter. They're a all everything team, which I might add, they do a great job.
And while we're on info service, let me ask you this question, because I'm looking at the ramps cleaned and I'm looking at the ramps mowed. So those are the highway ramps, right?
Yes.
So which ramps do you clean and mow? Because boy, them one on Brighton barely get touched. You know I'm gonna say what I gotta say, right? So,
And President Hudson, I'll have to investigate that further and get right back to you on that one.
I know, and that's why I want to know how often does it get picked up, because I know we're doing it for the state, but we need to get that cleaned up.
Well, they do that, and also their other duties as well. So I couldn't tell you how often they do mow that, but I'll get back to you on that. Definitely have an answer for you the next time I see you.
And then I have one more question I want to ask you. Do you have a cost on how much we charge back for board up on these burnouts and vacant houses and land bank property? Do you have a cost on that?
I don't have it right now. We can get that for you.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions on info service before we continue? Okay, we'll move on to building services, skilled trades, custodial. So staffing under this division is, I don't want to say robust, but obviously intricate with a lot of different departments here. The 60 positions that you have, those are,
We have 55, and what is it? 5 or 6 are unfunded.
so the 5 fall underneath this right here?
Yes.
And are we happy with the amount of staff in these departments? Are we looking to try to get more?
I can assume that we're happy. Kevin Henry, you want to speak about that?
Actually, we are happy. One thing I would like to see is if we could create a couple of positions, and we have a few gentlemen. All right, let me use the carpenters for an example. We have 7 carpenters on hand. We're doing a large-scale roofing project right now. There's only 3 of them capable of getting on the roof. So we have a few carpenters that are, they're a little older or have a few different things going on. Not that they're not fully capable of doing their jobs here, but I would like to increase a couple of those different trades with a couple more positions, then phase them out in the next 4 or 5 years as they retire. Does that make any sense to you?
So explain that one more time. So under skilled carpenter or under carpenters, you got 7. You got 3 that are getting up on this whatever.
Yes.
In particular, and you want to scale back it. You want to scale back to 7, or you want to move folks?
No, we don't. I would like to see if we, could add another carpenter.
Okay.
And 2 years down the road, I have a guy or 2 that's looking to leave here, and then we eliminate it. Just pretty much bringing in some younger guys that are capable of doing some of the things that people assume that skilled trades can do with 7 carpenters.
So you're trying to get 1 or 2 people in there for a few years until we lose those other jobs to attrition. Obviously, we'd be incurring a few years of, somewhat of an, inflated budget at that department. Would these be folks that would be able to come from other departments, or you're talking new hires?
They would actually be new hires.
New hires.
Or back to some of the temps that we had to cut back on due to that 5% budget cut.
Okay.
And is carpentry just the one area where that's an issue, or do you feel like that's kind of across the board?
Carpentry and masons, yep.
Those are the 2 areas where you see similar problems like that?
Yeah, you do have one of those unfunded positions that was an electrician that retired, and we're holding on to that, and a few other ones. So I can foresee us filling those in the future or whatever, but as long as we have temps written to our budget for electricians, I think we can get through. But I'm really primarily talking the masons and the carpenters right now.
How about plumbing? How's plumbing doing?
Plumbing, I think we're good with plumbers. Okay. Yeah, we just actually recently added another plumber to what we have going on the last 2 years. So that really helps us out.
Good. Questions from my colleagues on this?
I'm looking at 149, and I'm looking at actual 17. We had 134,000 reimbursement from other funds. We're going to be 50 proposed. What was that for, and where was that from? Because these are city-owned buildings, right?
Yes.
So who reimbursed us?
The department that maybe Kevin's guys worked for, let's say Parks. We did some work for Parks, and Parks would reimburse us our temp fees.
So last year, we reset the curbing around Clinton Square. I believe it saved the city somewhere like $150,000. And what we did was the Parks Department allowed us to hire 2 temps that we left down in Clinton Square to work on that project. That money was then taken out of DPW's budget. You should see that reimbursed to DPW through the parks. That's one example. We also did that with the fire department. We brought in 3 temps, and we painted every single firehouse one year. Those funds came from the fire department. And I believe we did something along the lines of that at the police department when we redid the patrol area too. So that is what the dollars are reimbursed from other departments.
So we don't anticipate very much this year in doing that, because you went from 134 to 50,000. So we're not going to have that much this year.
Well, we're not going to have that much this year to pay someone, but there's always, I mean, I always anticipate a project or something that someone approaches us about doing, whether we're capable of doing it or not because of DPW funds. No, we can't do that. Now, if there's a way that another department can pay them from them and we just basically oversee this project being done, I mean, that's the direction you want to go in with some of these projects. Having skilled trades do it saves sometimes half the amount that you would have having some of this stuff contracted out. I think the last administration did a really good job in shuffling around some of these jobs and allowing us to do it and letting a different department reimburse DPW by doing that. So there's something we should definitely look back into if it's going to stop.
If there's some other projects that,
Can I just say something? If those other expenses could be coming from grants or a capital project, they're not coming from other operating accounts over at Parks. I just want to let you guys know that.
yeah, is there a line underneath, you know, for like these carpenters? You know, the carpenters guys do stuff in all these different departments, but do they have their own maybe 415 line or their own stuff that, like, for tools, or does that fall under the entire services?
No, when you say
services.
no tools, we have our own line for tools.
Okay. For each individual department, carpenters and steam fitters have their stuff, and
Just in general, we have a tool
General.
line that we pull out of for skilled trades, like whether
Skilled
it be
trades
carpentry, roofers, whatever.
has
Yeah.
their
Yep.
okay. Questions from any of the counselors?
There was a statement about the one division of street repair going from like 74 guys when you started to whatever it is now, 54, 45, 45. Have all the other divisions experienced a similar decrease in staffing over the last 20 years? Like, is everybody just almost half the size of what you once were?
I would assume so. I mean, I can't. Just got here 4 months ago, so I couldn't.
Looks like Mr. Hunter was eager to respond.
Yeah, excuse me. Every department's decreased in manpower.
That's a bigger hit in street repair and street cleaning. I mean, when you don't have the people to plow or do the streets, it shows. So I know I keep getting back to the overtime, Councilor Thompson, but if we had more people, we wouldn't need overtime. So.
Right.
And I'm just gonna play the devil's advocate, right? I hear what you're saying, and I want all this work to get done, but that's just been the course of life for all companies.
I understand.
In the last 20 years. Everybody has to do more with less. So that's part of the reality.
Of course.
So we sitting here beating it down. That's
And
reality.
President Hudson, I might add, we're going to do that this year. So
More with less.
we're going to do more with less.
How does technology fit into that? Like, a lot of companies do more with less because they invest in some type of technology. Are there technologies that we are or should be investing in order to maximize the output of the staff we have?
I think that us taking better care of our equipment is going to pay off dividends to the production of either snow plowing or street repair or street cleaning. The maintenance of you checking the oils or cleaning your truck. Well, the lifespan of it, just like your car, the lifespan of it is gonna last you longer. So I think that's where we come in as commissioners. Me and Ann, we're real dedicated to get these guys to check their trucks and make sure they're adhering to all the pre-checks and post-checks of things of that nature. And I think it's gonna allow us to do more with less.
I got just one, I guess, overall question. So, is there, all these budget meetings, you guys get your budget, and you have to, try to work it best you can. Is there an area that if you could pick one area to have a little more funding, what would it be? And obviously no one's finding, crazy.
You're putting me on the spot there. I mean,
Yeah.
that's me picking a department.
That's what we're
and
supposed to do. We're
I
supposed
got
to
all these
draw
guys
up
here
and
waiting,
we're supposed
chomping
to
at
try
the
to
bit.
Get you the stuff you need.
I can
that
tell
we
you
may not
after
be able to
after the
ask for
budget
in other
hearing,
situations.
I can tell you that after the budget hearing, Councilor Ryan, if you really want to know.
In February, you would have said snow plowing.
Oh,
Now he's
of
talking
course.
a different tone. Yeah.
Of course.
cleaning
I'm gonna throw this
services
out
or
to
any
you
of
because I've been here now going on 7 years, and for 7 years I keep saying this because I see in your department that when you walk in there, you have a police car in there working on it, and different, you know, from different departments. Would you think of a facility for all departments, one facility?
You talking about a garage?
Mm-hmm.
See, the problem with that would probably be, you talking about DPW
I'm talking about everything.
combining?
Fire, everything.
Fire,
I
And
think
I
that'd be-
know that you have to have high ceilings for the
That-
fire trucks.
That might be great because, as you know, certain mechanics know more about certain trucks than others. And I think that some of the experience that fire mechanics have, the fire department mechanics have, would be a great asset to have if, you know, we put in a snow plow and a engine blew or something and someone didn't know. I think asking those guys would be beneficial. But
That's
I don't
gonna be
think
my dream before I
I don't
leave
think
here.
that's a question I can answer without talking to upper management in Mary.
We have the property.
Commissioner, what do you mean? You are?
We have the
I
land.
heard that I
And if we're
could pretty
gonna
much
do
do a lot, but not
Build a
not with the
whole
budget,
facility.
right, Mary?
Commissioner.
I know what you think.
Councilor just
What, Mary? I want to see what Mary.
I think you have to do some sort of study. I mean, the police have, you know, hundreds of vehicles. Fire department has very tall and long vehicles.
we
I'm not
know.
quite sure our facility can,
We-
as it stands out there
We've
now,
al-
can
we
handle
already
this.
asked, and we know about the height, and we know we have to lock the police vehicles in a cage. We know that. And we actually have enough land that we own in the city of Syracuse. And if we're gonna be borrowing for capital projects, why not borrow to throw everything under one roof? Because you go in there, they sandblasting police cars. So I'll just
I'm sure it would take some more capital expenditure for lifts and other things out there. I
and
think
then we
you have to.
bought the paint booth for the fire department. There's somebody, we didn't
Nope,
buy that?
nope, we, that project was canned.
Oh, okay.
It got very expensive, the final engineering reports. It
I
went
mean,
up,
if we gotta
it
be
was
buying
going
paint
over,
booths for different departments.
it was going over 600,000, the potential cost, so that got canned.
Yeah. I'm with Helen. That's a great idea, but maybe not within our realm as of today. So we'll continue to fight for that
I'm
one.
gonna keep pushing for that.
I know you are.
It's been a long afternoon, Councilor Driscoll. Do you have any questions for our DPW staff?
None that I can think of off the top.
Majority Leader Thompson?
No, mine were answered. Thank you.
I'm good.
Councilor Rudd. Perfect. All right. Thank
One
you,
quickie,
Commissioner.
Chad, before
Oh,
they leave, so any access asphalt, we'll use that to do potholes, right?
I didn't hear you. What'd you say?
Any access with
Access.
asphalt, we'll use that to do potholes, correct?
That's correct.
All right.
perfect.
I'd just like to thank you guys for having us, and thanks to my superintendents for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.